Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Flags in a Gym, a podcast dedicated to all things color guard. My name is Eric. I'm your host and resident color guard nerd, and today's episode is the first in a brand new series called I March That Show, where I sit down and talk with performers from iconic and memorable shows. For this first episode, I sat down with Alicia Re, who marched with the Bishop Kearney Color Guard and performed in the ever-iconic Jackson Pollock show, aka the Paint Show. We talked about what it was like to march at the program, how many gallons of paint they used, what the paint was made of, and why they all had long curly hair and more. So sit back, relax, and let's talk some color guard. Hi there, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome in, everybody. So I am sitting down with a very special guest, Alicia Shippy.
I just got married, so yes, that is my name now. My legal name still is Ray, but Alicia Ray is what I was back when I was in the group you're about to talk about.
Back in the day. Before we get into introductions, though, I do want to give a little context to what we're doing. So this is the first episode in a new series of episodes that I'm calling I Marched That Show. And we chatted a little bit after the listener Q&A episode. You reached out to talk to me, and you are the inspiration because as we are learning, it's in the title, so people who are listening to this already know what we're going to talk about. But you marched at Bishop Kearney High School, like iconic Winter Guard in WGI history. So before we get started, go ahead, take a quick moment to introduce yourself to everybody, your color guard history, and your experience in the activity.
So yeah, I'm Alicia. I marched 4 years with Bishop Kearney. My first year was Sybil. 1995 was my first year. I was in eighth grade. I was 12 years old when I started. So being 12 and being on the Dayton Arena was incredibly overwhelming and scary, but a lot of fun at the same time. My final year was Animal Farm in 1998. After that, I stayed involved in the activity. I performed with the Rochester Crusaders in their Winter Guard. They had a Winter Guard in 2001. And then I marched with their drum corps in '02. And then I was in the Syracuse Brigadiers drum corps and their Independent World Winter Guard in 2006. And over the course of the years, I've taught for Gates Trilai for many years. And then Eastridge Winter Guard, well, they were not a Winter Guard for a little while. They kind of went inactive, and then I brought their Winter Guard back, which was a really proud moment. I really was really cool to get to do that. And I taught their marching band for a couple years before I moved. I moved to South Carolina, and I taught a marching band here in Charleston. And then I volunteered with WGI in 2022 at championships and got to see the iconic AMP Joker show live in person in the front row as a volunteer. It was like mind blowing. But I am a second grade teacher now. I have two kids. I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son.
That's awesome. And I applaud you for being a teacher. You need a raise. You need to be paid more. I'm just going to put that out there now. My son's a third grader and my daughter's in kindergarten. And I don't know how elementary. I mean, I think middle school teachers probably deserve the most. I don't know how you can teach middle schoolers. So,
I
yeah.
know. That's a no for me.
But that's so awesome. Yeah.
Did you know Ryan Bronner?
Yes. I marched cabbies with Ryan Bronner. Yes.
Yeah, he taught me that year.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
really close. I love him. He's one of my favorite people. Well, I just heard he was going on to get his doctorate, and I'm really proud of him because
Wow.
he was working on, he was a teacher when I was spinning, and like he's getting his doctorate in education, and I just heard that. And so really proud of him. So if he's listening, Rai, I love you.
Awesome. So let's talk about the Bishop Kearney. So you marched 95 to 98. Those are incredible years to march. It's so wild that I'm talking to somebody that was in these shows. So before we get into the shows, let's talk about Bishop Kearney briefly. So it's a private Catholic school in Rochester, correct?
Yep.
Is it a small school, kind of medium size, or?
It's a very small school. My graduating class was about 100 kids, and I think enrollment back in the day was about 400 total students. So it
Wow.
was a very small school. It's growing now. It's definitely getting bigger, and they've added a middle school, still doing really well now. My brother actually works there, so it's really cool. But yeah, it was very small.
That's crazy. And Bishop Kearney won Scholastic World 5 years in a row. So 93 to 97, and you marched 95, 96, 97, and then moved to Independent World 98 and placed fourth. which is really impressive when you think about it, because it's just a group of high school girls. And why do you know why they jumped to independent world? Was it just like a ton of seniors and you didn't want to lose everybody, or?
I think that's part of it. We were always told that they wanted a new challenge for us because we had done all that we could have done in Scholastic World, and they wanted us to move to Independent World to get a new challenge there. Part of it was the age being higher, really no limit in Independent World, or 23 or what it was. A lot of alumni could come back in
Mm.
March. So a lot of girls from the 93 era and maybe even earlier, I think, came back to March and have like one final season with us. So that was really cool. So yeah, a lot of girls came back who were older and more experienced, and it just was an opportunity to do something new. And that was always what, we were told. So
And Bishop Kearney has produced probably the most iconic show from all of WGI history with the Jackson Pollock show. We've all seen the clips on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. It's always on the WGI highlight reels. You see the girls just chucking the paint all over the place. That is the show we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about everything, but we're going to focus on that one. But I think the only show that could probably rival that show in just icon status would be Northmont 97 with a
oh
Dante's Inferno.
yeah.
Those are like
Mm-hmm.
the two shows that even the kids today are like, I know that show. Like,
Yep.
that just shows were 30 years ago. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
97 was 28 years ago. But it's just like kids still like, I know this show. So
Right.
that is so cool. Do you have any idea how the guard program got so successful with being at such a small private school?
I think it was just as they started winning, it became like a reputation. Like this group is really good. There was a lot of news articles written in the paper about this group at this small school that's really good at what they do. There was a lot of interest in it. They had a lot of recruitment through. They had a middle school attached. It wasn't Bishop Kearney Middle School. It's called Northeastern. So I went there, and they were able to recruit a lot of kids from there. So they had like a feeder through the middle school that was attached, and we just had more kids come in through there. And it was a big draw too. A lot of girls wanted to go to BK so they could be in the color guard. It was just kind of like this word of mouth underground thing and Vinny started it. The Holly Hawks in the 80s, and they were a huge successful group, and it just continued on. He created that with Carney too.
Wow. Do you know roughly like when he started Carney? Because I know you started winning in 93, but the group
Mm-hmm.
was still competing and like third, fourth prior to that. So it's not like,
Yeah, I think when I went back, actually, when WGI you were able to make those DVDs and create your own videos and order your shows you wanted on your favorite DVD. I went back and I made a DVD of every Bishop Kearney show from the very beginning. And I want to say it was like 88, 89,
wow.
and and then forward, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
miss those days of when I forget what they called it because it wasn't, yeah, it was, you could build your own DVD and it was amazing, but there were no pictures. You had to know the shows that you
Right.
wanted.
It was
Like
WGI On Demand. That's what it was
that's
called.
what it was. Yep. And you had to
Hmm.
use, it was like little check boxes and you'd be like, okay, I want
Yeah.
Northmont 97. I want Clovis West 97, but it didn't say Riverdance. There was no picture to
Right.
remind you of what the show was.
Hmm.
You had to remember.
You had to know your stuff.
Yep. And I picked a couple wrong years. So I was like, what? I'm like, what is this?
Oops,
This,
what
this
was
isn't what I
that?
asked for. Was there a band program there? Like, was there an outdoor marching band thing?
But it was not like marching band, like having a field show or anything like that. We did a couple of halftime performances that were kind of a standstill at some football games, maybe marched a couple parades, but it wasn't, it used to be in the band program was big in like the 70s and 80s, but it really wasn't like the marching bands we have now where it's like hundreds of kids out on the field. It was very small, not very, it wouldn't be conducive to like a training.
Right.
Like a lot of groups now use their summer and their marching outdoor program as training for the winter. It didn't really have that. So we did some parades, didn't do any work in the parades. We just kind of marched. I was new. It was 95, my new year, my first year, and I had to march a parade at right shoulder the whole time for like a mile and a half at right shoulder. I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah, as a news spinner, I'd be like, oh my God,
I'm
this
like,
is torture.
ow,
Yeah. Like,
why
there's no
can't I
more
go to
blood up
parade
there.
next? But
Um,
yeah, it was so there really was no outdoor program. And if we had an opportunity to perform, we would be doing parts of our winter show
so when did you start like training for indoor? Was it just you just started doing that in the fall? Like, did you start indoor
summer
super early?
in the summer. So we used the summer to start learning our work for the winter show. So like after Dayton, we didn't call it WGI, we called it Dayton. There would be recruitment efforts in the spring and the summer. We did a lot of technique block, basics, tried out people on different pieces of equipment, and then started choreographing and learning the work for the show. So the whole show would basically be filled by September-ish, and then we could start putting it on the floor and doing staging. So we basically worked on our winter show from the end of April until January.
Wow.
Mm,
That's crazy.
yep. I can't
Wow.
imagine doing that now.
No. Oh God. I mean, the indoors, you get to Dayton and you're just like, okay, the season's been so long. We're almost
Hmm.
done. I couldn't imagine adding 5 months prior to that. Like,
Yeah, there was pretty much no break, maybe a week off, and
wow.
then we went right into getting ready for the next season.
You know what? I got you 5 gold medals. So,
Yep, I guess it was
hey,
worth it.
right?
Paid off.
So we talked about you got into the guard because you were at the middle school. So you just kind of, they recruited you from the middle school there, or?
Well, I got into the guard because I didn't make the cheerleading team in seventh grade. I tried out for the cheerleading team. I didn't make it, but at that age, you just kind of want to be part of something, a team, a group. Sports weren't my thing, so I was kind of searching for something to belong to. And so at the end of seventh grade, the recruitment was an assembly where all the girls from Northeastern, seventh and eighth grade girls, were invited over to the Bishop Kearney side of the building. And we'd go into the gym and we would watch the color guard perform. So the first time I ever saw it was they did the 1994 show, The Life is Out of Balance, with the black and the white and the scream dolls. And I was sitting in the front row. I had no idea what I was looking at. And I'm going, I want to do that.
Utterly
And
fascinated, just like,
utterly. And one girl was like sliding into a split with a blade doing a palm roll. And I'm going, what is this? I want. So as soon as it was over, I went over to the sign up table and put my name and my mom's phone number down. I went home and told my mother, I want to do color guard. And she goes, you said what? What even is that? But yeah,
your
they
mom, you're
called
like, I
me.
already signed up. I have to be at practice next week. And your mom's like, what, huh? What?
Where are we going? I showed up in my black tights and my white t-shirt, and that was it. I never left.
Awesome. That's a fun story. It's like I didn't make the cheerleading team, so I went to color guard and then I ended up getting 3 gold medals and marching one of the best color guards ever. Like,
It totally random how it just kind of fell into my lap. And as a kid, I just really wanted to be part of something, and I was really searching for that. Because I wasn't about to play soccer or softball, because no. So, and it just ended up changing the trajectory of my life as a seventh grader. So it's kind of wild.
it's amazing how the sport can do that. You
Hmm.
know, I I've said it before. I started color guard, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go march DCI, and then my drum corps went to Europe, and we toured Europe for 3 weeks. I get to perform in football stadiums across the country, and then now you do
Wow.
indoor, and it's just here I am today, like all because I decided to pick up a flag at middle school.
Exactly. It's crazy. Like I never imagined I'd ever be able to perform at Disneyland, and I was able to. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild to think of the things that I was able to do because of this.
And you're still able to do. You get to sit there front row and watch AMP.
Uh, well, I got to open the curtain that year. So when I volunteered that year, I was
Oh,
the curtain opener. And so I would sit and be listening to all the shows, but then I'd get to see them coming off, which was kind of a really cool thing because I opened the curtain and some kids had just had their last run of their high school career and they were really emotional and get to talk to them. I ran over to the other side and I was talking to the girls and the kids in the tunnel and just kind of hyping them up. And then seeing them come off the floor afterwards after they, had the best run. It was a really cool, like volunteering was really cool. It was exhausting, but it was a lot of fun. I had a good time doing that.
I've considered it, and but I'm just going to be the person that ends up outside in the parking lot directing traffic. I just know I'm like that's where I'm going to end up, and I'm like, really, I want to be inside where I can see the color guard. Like
I did the curtain and then I got to do warm ups. So I got to be the timer for warm ups
that
for
would be fun.
that was really cool for Scholastic and Independent World. I was like, what am I watching? It's like private performances. It was so cool. And I got to meet Rosie Miller, and I was beside myself. I love her. I think she's fantastic. And got to meet her in the tent and seeing these kids perform and in warm-ups and just remembering what that was like for me. And then watching, them do it now. It was just such a really fun moment. And then I had to hit the timer. Time's up, gotta go. Have a great show.
Sorry, get out. Next.
Sorry, see ya. And watching AMP and Pride do their warm-ups. I did movement warm-up too. That was so cool just to see what each group does and watch from like an instructor point of view, going, oh, I could see
I'm
why
gonna
they do
steal that.
this. And I could take this, and just watching how they warm up their kids and what these groups do to prepare themselves for their performance. That was really cool. And I felt like just a little fly on the wall. I'm sitting in the corner watching AMP like dance hip hop across the floor and just seeing what each group did differently too, like comparing AMP to Pride. It was like two totally different worlds.
Right.
It was cool.
Yeah. Honestly, if I could pick, I'd probably I would. Can I sit in equipment warm up? Can be the person with the card. All right, 5 minutes left. Like,
Yep. It
I'd forget
was,
to look at the timer though. I'd just be
I
so
know.
enamored. I'd be like,
I'm just watching them spin. And I'm sitting there going, you got it, you got it.
Pride sitting there yelling at me, "Hey, they're supposed to be out of here 3 minutes ago," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
No, they're fine. They're fine. Keep doing what
Just
they're
let,
doing.
let them keep going. I'm observing. I'm enjoying. So let's talk a little bit about just life at Bishop Kearney. So I have a couple of random questions just from watching the tapes. All the girls always had really long and like big hair. Now, I
Mhm.
heard a rumor that you were not allowed to cut it. Is that true?
Nope. We were not allowed to cut it
Why?
during the season. We all had to look identical, and that was his vision for us. Vinny's vision for us was to have that long curly hair. And if your hair wasn't curly, you had to figure out a way to make it curly. And we had to tease it. The damage that my split ends was, it was crazy.
I
But
was gonna
no,
say,
we were
did you
not.
have to do like hair pieces or anything for some of the girls or
Nope. It was all of our natural hair.
wow.
People always ask that, like, was that extensions? Nope. It was all our natural hair. Some girls, kept up with trims and things like that, but I was such a rule follower. I was like, no, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get cut if I cut my hair. So no, I'm not cutting my hair, mom. And she's looking at me going, your hair is really, really damaged here. And I go, I know, but I can't cut it. So we're just gonna wait. The end of the season we could cut, trim a couple inches if we needed to, but really had to keep it long.
That's wild. After we finished recording, Alicia remembered a story she wanted to share about the Sybil year. So I had her send me a voice memo and I've spliced it in here for you.
Well, the part in Sybil where the girl iconically cut her hair, that was put in the morning of finals rehearsal. The finals performance was the only time that we ever did that hair cutting moment. Her name was Jen. She was a senior that year, and from what I remember, and if I remember correctly, she was really looking forward to being able to cut her hair after the season was over and she had graduated. So Vinny said, well, you know what? Why don't we do it now and put it in the show? Somewhere along the line, he got that spark of inspiration, and that part was put in the morning of finals. At rehearsal, we're told we're going to pause the music at this point, and you're all going to turn and stare at Jen and be completely in shock, in disbelief that you can't believe what she's doing. And then it's going to be about 10 to 15 seconds and she's going to cut her hair. And then I'm going to push play and the music will start and you'll just continue your show like normal. And it became a huge moment. I know it was written about in different Focus magazines and things like that. It was a really cool moment that no one could ever forget. And it was kind of a spur of the moment done that morning at our finals rehearsal and never done again. And then she showed up at the banquet with a bob. So that is the little story about Jen cutting her hair for finals for the Sybil show.
I know.
That's so wild.
I know.
What was with the head bob on every weapon catch? The head forward.
You mean the Carney girl catch? Yeah. I think it was just a stylistic choice. I think Amy Lombardo may have been like the first one doing that, and it made us look stronger. It, catching with your whole body, maybe. Just, I don't know.
Something that caught on, huh?
Yep, something that caught on. We also had clickers on our rifles to make the sound louder,
Oh, more intense. Yeah.
more intense of our hands, because sounds of our hands catching wasn't loud enough. So we had to have we put clickers on. We started with little pennies taped on the inside of the strap, but then he was like, not enough. So we
The
drilled
pennies weren't enough?
Pennies weren't enough.
Wow.
Then we moved to quarters, and then it was these little metal pieces that were drilled into the barrel and attached to the strap. So when we caught, they would click.
Kind of like a tap shoe almost, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So yeah, for anybody who's listening that doesn't know about pennies in the strap, it's an old trick. You put right where you in your spin spot, you take like stacks of 3 or 4 pennies. You do like 4 rows of them. It adds a crap ton of weight to your strap. You wouldn't think pennies would add a lot of weight, but they do. But it gives you that super loud crack sound. I've never heard of using quarters or like a clicker. I've always done the pennies, or I've heard of the pennies. I had one guard I marched and we did pennies, but
I think I still have my rifles from all those years. I've kept them. I'm pretty sure I still have the tape where they were, and then I have one of the clickers somewhere. If I dig them out of the garage, I'm sure see the remnants of the pennies and the clickers.
wow. Was there a lot of training emphasis on weapon? Because it seemed like that was kind of like the Bishop Kearney trademark was the rifle girls.
Yeah, there was. I actually taught myself how to spin after civil year because I wanted to spin so bad. My parents bought me my own rifle in the merchandise tent, and I brought it home and started spinning in my yard. I didn't get on the rifle line until 2 years later, but it's fine.
I have a feeling it's a very hard rifle line to get on to.
Yeah. The year I did get on was 97, and there were only 2 of us that were new to the rifle line that year. So it was a lot. It was hard to get on. But yeah, the emphasis was on rifle for sure. I feel like Vinny always, and even in his shows that he does or did in the more recent years, he always wanted all the equipment to spin like a rifle. I think that was his favorite piece of equipment, and that wanted the flags to be quick and fast and spinny and rotate really quickly. And there was really no emphasis on any blade training. We spun blade, but we spun it like a gun. So it's a completely different piece of equipment. The weighting is different. You have to use a completely different technique, but we really just used our rifle technique on blade and didn't really always pan out.
Well, it's funny when I watch the old videos, I'm like, I don't think they did like true saber training. It's looked like they just said, oh, they just took the rifle out of your hand and then put a saber in and said, just spin it the same way. And you're saying that's basically what it was.
Yep, it was. When I spun blade, the first time I actually spun real true blade was in 05 when I did the Brigadiers for the summer. And I had to completely relearn, or not even relearn, just learn proper blade technique and how to, because if we wanted to be on the rifle line, we had to spin blade, and I was terrified, but I figured it out. But Billy Parent and Ryan had to teach me how to spin a blade the right way, because they're like, it's not a gun. You can't wrap you can't wrap out a gun, but you can't you have to have a different grip, and you have to think about the way the weight carries differently. It's a completely different piece. And I was it was tough, but yeah, there was really no focus on that. It was what you said, replace the gun with a blade, and because we have to have blade in the show somewhere, so here goes.
When I was teaching kids, I would always just say, rifle's all about muscle and strength, and saber is about touch and finesse. So like you can't manhandle a saber. Like it's not going to work. While we're talking about, Vince Monticelli, so very infamous man in the activity, and we'll just say there's a lot of opinion, a lot of public opinion about him. And to everybody listening, Google is your friend. So if you want to do some research, but what was it like marching under him? I've heard it could be very intense, very, you have to be on your best at all times. We are here to win kind of mentality. Is that true? Or
Yes, definitely had good moments, some not so great ones. He had a really dry sense of humor, and sometimes his jokes went over well, and sometimes it was like, what are you talking about? But I was terrified of him my first year. I was, like I said, I was 12 years old, and this man was in charge of this group that I had just joined, and I was convinced that he was going to come tell me I wasn't good enough and just go home and won't come back. So I was terrified of him, and I remember one practice, he comes off of the bleachers. He had a spot on top of the bleachers. That's where he stood. That was or sat. That was his spot, and never really moved from there for practice. And he climbs down from the bleachers, and he's walking it towards me, and I'm going, oh no, this is it. I'm out. And where's my stuff? I'm gonna go pack up right now. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a giant piece of sidewalk chalk. And he goes, do you know how to draw hopscotch? And I was like, what are you asking me? And it was Sybil year, and he wanted me to draw a hopscotch on the floor for the part where we were supposed to act like kids. So, like, yeah, I can do that. I'll do that. I can draw hopscotch. You got it. You got it, sir.
I get to stay. Yeah, I'll draw hopscotch. Yeah, sure, no problem.
How big do you need it? What 1 through 10? I got this.
Yeah, that speaking of civil year, so that what was that glass that the performer jumped through at the end? Was it like a candy glass? What
Yep.
what was
It was candy. We took turns, families took turns each weekend making it for that performance that weekend. So we kind of rotated through, it was our turn one weekend and then my friend's turn the next weekend. But yeah, it was candy. And it actually was so hot, you know how the Dayton arena is so hot. It melted. It started like warping and melting in finals. Like, oh God, the glass is gonna fall out. It's gonna shatter before she jumps.
It's like just stay together, just stay together.
Just hold on for
Yeah,
3 minutes.
that Dayton arena is brutal.
I forgot how bad it was. And then I went in 2015 with Gates Chili, and I'm like fanning myself, going, oh, what is this? This is horrible.
It's funny watching like when you watch the flow marching stream or just you watch, the videos on YouTube and, they're doing the setup and you just see the crowd and you see all the fans and the crowd of people. It's just, especially like when Pride's going on or, the last Independent World Guard and everybody's in there.
Yep.
And I'm like, y'all, it's like 50 degrees outside. Can we just open some doors? Like,
honestly,
it's a huge arena.
Crack a window, something. He had a very specific vision for everything. So how we performed and how we carried ourselves, how we looked, no cutting our hair, no piercing, no nails.
Well, to be fair, I say no nails and color because that's a bad combination.
Yeah.
Rifles, flagpoles, and nails. Like
couldn't even have painted nails.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. Which I mean, I get it. I did that too when I was teaching. So everybody has to be the same. When Scott Chandler and Stanley Knob would come, we had to have our hair in a bun and very like sleek and carry ourselves very professional. We all had to look uniform, and we weren't allowed to do any other activities. We did color guard all year round, so it was no sports, no plays. You had to commit 100% to color guard. If you wanted to be in the play, then you had a conflict. So sorry, if you want to go do the play, you got to go do that. So we had to like commit 100%.
Wow. That's intense.
It was intense. It was intense. And I didn't think about it. But now as like a mom myself, I look back and look at my mom and dad and go, are you guys crazy? are you crazy for letting me do this?
It's a different time. It was a
It
different
was.
time. Totally
It
different
was.
time.
And throwing my kid on a bus 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning to drive to who knows where to perform that night and then drive back with no supervision, just, Vinny and Alan Buell on the bus with us and have a great time. We'll see you Sunday night. I can't imagine doing that right now. Put your kid on a bus. See ya.
Bye. Have fun.
I can't imagine. That
It's
would
wild.
it was a very different time. It was a
Yeah.
very different time.
So 98, we moved to Independent World and we talked about that, they kind of wanted what's the next challenge? What's the next thing we can do? But 98 also seemed to be the last year of the program. Did it just stop after that? Did Vinny leave or?
Well, it was
Oh, is it
kind of
complicated?
it was confusing. It was
Mm.
complicated. And honestly, myself, I have a lot of complicated feelings about it because that was going into my senior year. 1998 was my junior year. So I was
Oh,
about to go into my senior year, and we were told that we were not going to go back to Scholastic World. So I had it in my mind that, okay, we did this year in Independent World. Now we're going to go back to Scholastic World and it's going to be like it was. I'm going to be a senior this time. And, we're going to just have everything the way it used to be. And it's going to be really cool. And then he told us that we were going to perform in a class that was like the senior class, but it wasn't a competitive. I don't even know what it was. I don't even think it.
kind of like an exhibition class almost.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But it had a name, but I can't remember what it was. And I'm going, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. We had a whole show written to Great Gig in the Sky, and that never saw the competition floor. I have a home video of it though, so it lives on in my camcorder. And then we were told that we were going to combine with Eastridge, their guard program. So Eastridge was a public high school that was down the street, like literally a couple blocks away, and they had a guard program. My sister-in-law actually marched there, which is kind of funny that we ended up being sisters-in-law. But for me personally, it didn't feel like it was going to be what I thought it was, so I didn't really vibe with that choice, I guess. So some of the girls did. They wanted to continue and they wanted to go and be combined with Eastridge. And I guess the programs just kind of, Eastridge kind of enveloped ours. So some of the girls did go over there. I chose not to. I really wanted my senior year to be with Bishop Kearney the way it was. I had kind of dreamed of finishing out my senior year and performing in Dayton one last time. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. So that was really tough for me to kind of come to terms with because I had gone through Sybil in 1997, which is a whole other thing. And then, Jackson Pollock and then Animal Farm. And so it's kind of like led up to, okay, it's my senior year. And there were a lot of things, like a lot of little perks that we got as seniors. Like you sit in the front of the bus and you're a captain and you get, you're in a leadership role. And those are the things that you look forward to as a new girl coming in, a little eighth grader looking up to this. And then when you get to that point, it doesn't happen. So it was tough. It was a tough time for me.
Yeah, that sounds really tough. And yeah, I'd feel robbed. I'd feel cheated from it. I would feel that
Yeah.
way. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, I'm old now, so I've come to terms with it. But yeah, it was tough. I was only 17 years old and like everything I had worked for all those years was gone. So it was tough for me.
Yeah, that's tough. That is brutal.
Don't
Did
mean
you
to be a
so
Debbie Downer.
right? I mean, it's an interesting conversation. Not
Mhm.
all stories end happily, and
Right.
a lot of people are like, "What happened to Bishop Kearney?" Because all of a sudden they just essentially disappeared.
Yeah.
So
A lot of it, I said my brother still works there. So I go back every now and then to kind of visit the school and see people and all of our WGI flags. We used to get the banner when you won. That
yeah, yeah.
those are gone. I don't know where those are. I don't know where our trophies are. I think, who might know is Alan Buell. He might know. but a lot of our stuff isn't isn't there anymore, and I'm not sure what happened to it. But I'd love to find out. There's one
Yeah.
flag in our gym that all the high schools have, like, you're the champion of this basketball champion and cheerleading champions for this year. So we have one that matches the whole theme of the schools that lists the years that we
Got it.
won.
Yeah.
But like our actual WGI banners, I don't know where those are and who has them. Um, Maybe Vinny has them. I don't know.
My guess would be the staff. That to me, that just seems like a staff person would go back and get.
Yeah, I
Get
don't
them.
know. I don't know what happened. It was, yeah, it was just kind of like I graduated and that's it. Don't know what happened to the stuff.
But before we talk about 96, I do want to talk about 97 briefly because this is what kind of sparked this whole thing
Mhm.
was you were listening to the my listener Q&A episode and I answered a question about the most controversial win and
Mhm.
you messaged me saying that before I even answered, you knew I was going to say Bishop Kearney 97.
I felt it in my bones. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it was going to come out.
And you mentioned to me that it was tough and the crowd was booing you. What was that like having to deal with it as a teenager?
I mean, you know what it's like out there at retreat. You're not really like processing everything that's happening around you. There's the lights and the crowd and noise and music, and you're squeezing your best friend's hand, hoping they announce you as the winner. Because so it's in that moment, I didn't really realize what was going on, and then it kind of hit me. And my mom actually was the one who told me. She's like, "Did you hear them? Did you hear? They were booing." And she said, "That's what that was." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh goodness." I didn't even process it at the time. And like I knew that New York show was not a fan favorite. It was a very weird mix of ideas that didn't kind of solidify together. West Side Story music and Glass and odd choices. And
And a girl walking really, really slowly along the back.
he was a timeline of some sort. That was what she was supposed to represent.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
my job actually, what in the beginning of that show was to get on it and distract her. And he thought it would be funny if I like climbed up there and started mocking her. You can kind of see me doing it, and then I fall off, and I thought it was funny. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna go for it and just make this funny. A lot of confusing ideas in the show, but we poured everything we had into it, just like Sybil and Jackson Pollock, and our rehearsal ethic was all the same. We broke everything down. We cared like so much, and then when we heard the booing, I'm like, wait a minute, why? We're just kids. We just finished our season, and I get it. Center Grove show had every person in that audience part that year, and I know I remember watching the video and I'm going, okay, I see. This was because I never got to see it live because timing and stuff.
Right.
Um, their show was clean, beautiful. The music was obviously a crowd pleaser. It was a really well designed show. So comparing our show, it was chaos, to their show was like perfect, synchronized, just visually pleasing, aesthetically pleasing. And so I see why people were like, oh my God, they should have won. I get it. But I think I'd love to see a recap and look at the numbers. And I don't know if those are, I've Googled and tried to go back and find recaps, but I've never had any luck. But I'd love to see the numbers and breakdown of like equipment and excellence and
Yeah.
G and all of that.
It was like a
Because
2.5 point spread though. Like it wasn't close at all. Like you were distant first.
that's wild. Like I see it from an instructor point of view and an audience point of view now as I'm older. So like I get it. And I probably would have been the one in the crowd, not booing, but kind of going, what? Are you kidding? Um, so I mean, I understand the perspective, I really do. But like as a teenager, we just finished the season. We're all emotional. We're done with our season. And instead of kind of feeling proud of what we had accomplished, we walked off the floor and hearing people boo. And that sticks with you. And I know we weren't very I just knew we weren't very well liked that year.
Mm,
So, and I mean, I see why and we kind of spent 1998 kind of trying to make up for that with being more interactive with other guards, being more sportsmanlike and things like that. It's not that we didn't want to do it in those previous years. We were told we had to have this persona in some
right.
way. Like,
I mean, your kids following orders, basically. I mean, it's, yeah.
yeah. And so, I mean, when I started teaching the cadet guard for Gates Chili, we were doing run throughs for each other, like the flags, do your run through of your show, all the rifles watch. And they were playfully booing each other, just kind of joking around. And I had to stop. I was like, listen, I know you guys are joking around. You might think it's funny, but that sound can really hurt somebody. And I shared, what had happened. And they were like, oh gosh, I didn't realize that. And I had to have that teachable moment about when you're in the audience, you have to be really careful about what you're saying about who's on the floor in front of you because you don't know who's sitting around you. You don't know if it's somebody's grandma or somebody's dad that's sitting right in front of you or behind you, and you might be making comments that aren't so friendly about what is happening, what you're seeing on the floor. And you really want to just be supportive of who's out there and what they're doing because they work just as hard as everybody else. Even if you don't love what you're seeing or you have thoughts about it, you can't, save that for the bus. Save that for the bus
Exactly.
talk.
That's exactly what I told my kids. I was like, save it for the bus. Because even if you say something nice, a parent may hear half your sentence and they hear half a sentence out of context. And then all of a sudden, you had issues. Principal's
Right.
getting an email.
Exactly.
It happened to my mom. She came to see me at a regional. I had moved guards. I marched in a guard in Virginia A class. I moved to Apex in Delaware. And my previous instructors were not happy that I left.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at a local Virginia regional, and my former instructors just trashing me. And I didn't have the greatest run. I dropped. They're laughing, this and that. Blah. And all of a sudden, my mom, she tells me after, she's like, yep, I just tapped him right on the shoulder. And they turned around and saw my mom, and they knew who she was. And they went completely white. Like they just and they turned back around and sat the rest of the show in silence.
Good for
So
mom.
just like you're saying, you don't know who is sitting
Mm-hmm.
around you. And one, we shouldn't be booing kids, but
No.
just save your comments for the bus. Even if you think it's a harmless comment, it gets taken out of context. They hear half of it, and then you've got issues. And then you become that guard.
Right.
Oh, don't go talk to Bishop Kearney. They're a bunch of mean girls. All they do is sit in the stands and trash the other guards. It's like
Yeah.
that's not what we do, but that's
Yeah.
your reputation now.
Right. And to be fair, we never did. We sat in the stands and we watched, but we weren't allowed to enthusiastically, applaud. We could politely, but, going over the top cheering and things like that, we had to kind of keep ourselves reserved and just be on the more reserved side when watching. And I remember watching Escapade 95, which is my favorite show of all time. And I was ready to jump out of my seat when they snapped those rifles in half and then started spinning the pieces. Again, I was 13 years old. I was ready to stand up at that moment, give them a standing ovation right in the middle of their show. Going, this is the best thing I've ever seen. But again, had to just keep it subdued, and it was very good.
Little golf club. Oh God. That would drive me crazy.
It was
Especially
hard,
watching
but
Escapade 95. Yeah.
that's my favorite show of all time. Like number one, top favorite show ever.
It's on my list. Yeah. That's a
Every
great
time
one.
I every time I watch it, I see something new. Doesn't matter how many times I've seen it, I see something new every single time. I absolutely love that show. But yeah, like we just had to have that, persona. And that's not my personality. I was ready to hoot and holler and cheer everybody on.
I think that's
Nice.
most kids' persona.
Yeah. And you're so excited at that time. You're so excited about to see what everybody's doing, and they're catching these crazy tosses, and you just want to root for them and cheer them on. So 98, we kind of got the opportunity to let go a little bit more,
Mm.
which was nice. We got to support other guards more and be more involved with other groups, Gates Chalet in particular. So that was really nice to be able to kind of let that go and show who we were as people, not who we were as this persona, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let's move on to talk about the show, 1996, the Jackson Pollock show. I know lots of people have so many questions about this. I have so many questions about this because it is probably the most iconic, clip-worthy show in all of WGI history. We've seen it all, the paint cans just flying. There's that one shot that comes like the camera comes behind the girl on the ladder and the other girl's in front, right? Like, I mean, we all know that shot. And then everybody kind of like ice skating around the floor at the very end so they don't fall. So let's just start. Was it real paint?
Nope. It was,
What was
flour and water and food coloring. And our dad's, there might have been something else in it. I want to say there was yeast or something. I actually talked to my dad last night. I should have asked him what
it?
all the ingredients were because my dad was like the dad that volunteered to build everything and
Oh, he was the
make
dad.
everything. He was the dad. So it might have been yeast because something spoiled in Dayton that year and it stunk like rotten eggs. It smelled up all the paint smelled up the entire arena of rotten eggs because it was so hot. And 110
Oh,
gallons of spoiled rotten paint that
it was 110 gallons.
Yep, 110 gallons
Wow.
of paint. Well, it started with ketchup bottles and turkey basters,
But
but
it wasn't enough.
it wasn't giving what the vision was. We're just like squirting these little things and they're looking at it and going, no, we need more. So, but yeah, no, it was not real paint. Yeah, our dad's made it every show.
Where'd you get the paint cans? Just
My father is a painter by trade. So
oh,
I think at that time, no, he was not, but he got them from when he was, his business from painting, but also I think our local hospital, he would just grab paint cans from the shop. That's where he worked. So he just grabbed them from there too. So just anywhere we could find paint cans, and he had a ton of them.
wow. And with how early you start, you probably had plenty of time to collect them. So
Plenty of time. We had all the time in the world once we decided turkey basters weren't the thing.
how did you clean up after a performance? Like, because I think in the WGI video, you can kind of see like there's plastic sheeting that was, like a plastic drop cloth that was laid around the floor.
Yep.
Did you lay that completely out? Was it just around the edges? Like, and then how did you get off the floor?
All the plastic sheeting had to go around in every gym. Like once they heard that we were coming, they were like, oh God, this is what we need to do because we need to protect our speakers. We need to protect our floor. We can't ruin our gym floors that we just got finished. So we had to have the plastic sheeting around. Plus, it also kept us from getting any penalties from drops of paint left behind. But yeah, we had to cover speakers and all of the things with the plastic sheeting. And then when we moved the smaller mats that moved around the floor, we
Mm-hmm.
kind of folded those in towards each other so no paint would come out. And there was a giant cart on wheels that my dad had built because there's nothing big enough. He had to build it. And we dumped those in there and then folded up the big mat. And once that they loaded all the mats onto the van, my dad and all the other dads went to a self-serve car wash and draped the mats over the side of the van and just hosed them down with the car wash hoses and then laid them out on the floor in either, with the gym that we were at or wherever. So they would dry overnight and they actually clogged up the sewer at the high school. So they would just rinse it all down the sewer and that got clogged. So oops. Sorry. Sorry for that bill, Bishop Kearney. And our moms would go to the laundromat and clean our costumes. That stuff was really hard to get off because of the flour in the water. It kind of was like
Oh, yeah.
almost like a paper mache feel.
Yeah.
And it got stuck on our skin. It was on our feet. It was really hard to get off, but it was even harder to get out of the uniforms. It was kind of just pasty. Yeah,
The
our
way you're looking at
moms,
your fingertips, I can almost feel like you can still like remember that feeling of it
I
on your
do.
fingers.
I do. I remember it just being hardened like on my ankles. and having to like scratch it to get it off. Yeah, our moms did that, and we had army of parents with dish towels after the show, wiping up any little
And a little
paint
drop.
drop that they saw or little toe prints, anything that they saw, they had to wipe up because we didn't want to get a penalty because, and now everybody uses confetti or feathers.
Yep.
But now we were like, if you get a penalty, it was going to be a huge thing. No penalties. Okay. My poor mom. Okay. No pressure on my mom. She's like, I'll get it. I actually have, I don't know how I got a hold of this video. It came to my possession somehow. One of the old VHS tapes, and it's of our finals run. It's the floor cam from the moment we started setting up all the way until the moment we got off the floor. So it's like a full 15-minute long thing. And you can see our parents scurrying across the floor, wiping up everything. And I'm going like, is that my mom? And yeah. So my mom has a cameo on a WGI video.
Yeah, because I think they did like a separate series. It's called like Up Close and Personal, where they had a camera that was on the 50.
Yeah.
Because if you go to YouTube and watch 97, it's that video. Because it's so strange to watch because almost the entire show is just the camera stuck on the 50. I'm like, I know this is not like the final cut. Like, because there's no top views or anything. So that's probably what that was. It was
I
the
don't
up
know
close
how I
person.
got it. Somehow I ended up with it and I threw it in my VCR. I'm like, what is this? I was like, okay, this is really interesting. And it's over the years gotten probably lost in boxes somewhere, but it was a really cool video to come across.
That sounds cool. And you had the same process when you went to local shows? Because
Yep.
with smaller gyms, was that worse or?
No, not really. They knew what was coming, and I think the first couple of rows, I don't know if I'm making this up or if I'm remembering, people like put plastic over them in the first
Like a
couple.
splash guard.
Yeah. And I don't know, I could be wrong. But I feel like that might have happened once or twice.
I mean, I believe it if you watch, I mean, just watching the end of the show where paint's just being chucked everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere.
I'm sure it had to hit the
Yeah.
sand.
One of the shows, so there's a shot in the WGI video where it's from above, and two girls are holding up a tarp like this, and the girls like flinging yellow paint at it.
Yeah, yeah.
And one show, I think it had to be a local one, the paint was too heavy, and the girls dropped it as she was throwing the paint, and it went into the audience behind
Oh
them.
no.
Yep, that was a oops.
Wow.
Sorry. It was heavy. I mean, that stuff was heavy with the flour and everything was made out of it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
heavy.
I can't imagine because I mean, the end of the video, the floor is covered, completely covered. And you can see like when the little mats get dragged around, like you can see the puddles ripple. So it's like you can see there's a good amount on those mats.
What's interesting though, I was watching a TikTok of it, and a lot of people ask questions in the TikTok comments, and I'm up in there. I'm answering the questions, and I'm literally ask me anything. I'll answer for you. And people are going, how did you not slip and fall? How did the flags? Because the flags are spinning wild at the end,
Yeah.
and how did they not slip and fall? If you watch, there is not a lick of paint near their feet. It's also designed so carefully that they're not anywhere near the paint. But even though it looks like the paint is going everywhere and completely covered, there's still people who are nowhere near any of the paint. And so there was no really chance of them slipping and falling. It was really smartly, now that I look back, I'm like, that was really smartly designed. So nobody would be falling while they're trying to,
Right in the middle of the show, right?
yeah. Well, people only really fell at the end when we were trying to get off.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're watching the video, you see just the feet sliding, just like don't fall, don't fall, don't
Yep.
fall.
Yep.
Are you in the video on the WGI cut? Like, can we
So
find you?
I have a really good shot of me booking it around that ladder. It's towards the end. The girl, her name was Kelly. She's standing on top of the ladder, pouring the paint down
Yeah.
the ladder. and I'm running with my flag around because I had to get to my spot. So that's the only time you can really see me. But in the Sybil show, I have a close up because I was having my moment of fame as a 13-year-old, and I'm walking up the center on the 50, and I'm looking like I'm wiping bugs off of myself. And then I creep up behind this other girl and start staring at her. And then she turns to face me and we have a staring contest. So that's my clip from. I'm not on Jackson Pollock, but I am, but Sybil is where I have like an actual like little moment.
How fun. I'm going to post it for people to see. Like, this is her. This baby
My
Alicia
son,
Re.
I actually showed it over the weekend to a couple of friends because I was telling them that I was doing this podcast. And I was really excited, and their kids wanted to see because my friend's daughter wants to do color guard down here when she starts high school. And so I was like, "Oh, can I show you?" And my son is watching. He goes, "Wow, Mom, you were really little." Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, friend. Yeah, I was in 8th grade. Thank you.
Oh, color guard body.
Mm-hmm. For the days.
You had mentioned that the judges wanted you more involved with the paint, and that's how you ended up pouring it all over yourself. And like the one girl, she hops on the other, and then they're swinging her hair in it and all that. And knowing that's your real hair.
Yep. Her name was Andrea, and she had such a time trying to get that out of her hair. It took a very long time, like so much shampoos, and she had a really hard time getting that out of her hair.
And you're probably at a hotel shower, which isn't helping.
Nope. Yep.
And with all that hair.
With all that hair. And then Maria, she's the girl who had the cowboy boot, and she poured it out of the cowboy boot. And there was ropes. We had some ropes involved that the girls were spinning. Can't really see it on the video. They cut to show the paint going down the ladder. There was a lot that was going on. It kind of evolved over time. There were a lot of ideas that we tried that got scrapped. One show, they put a clear plastic tarp, and they taped it to the front sideline, and then had a girl go under it and paint under it. And she was kind of going crazy under there. And I don't think she could breathe very well.
Oh.
So I think it was kind of not effective. I don't think the judges really cared much for what that was doing. So that was pretty much scrapped. It wasn't as effective as throwing the paint.
And I think that, I mean, it does suit with, Jackson Pollock, the artist in general, just kind of throwing it haphazardly. So did anybody get hit by the flying paint cans, like in the head, like especially at the end?
Not that I know of, because we just all had to be really careful, like make sure it's not kind of throw it outwards, not going towards anybody. I got really excited and threw my paint can about 3 counts before everybody else. So mine goes flying and then everybody else's goes flying. Whoops, my bad.
What was the crowd reaction like? Were they just going nuts?
It was bananas. They were standing up before, as soon as the paint started flying, they were out of their seats. You can see them just standing as that one shot in the back, as the paint starts to go, you can see people starting to stand. It was really cool. It was like electric. The anticipation of us coming out, people were just so excited, and like it was just such a different thing. Nobody'd ever done anything like that. It was such a wild idea. But everybody wanted to see the paint fly. That was the big, wow moment. But we're out here spinning away, going crazy, doing some of the hardest work, and the biggest cheers were when a bucket of paint went 20 feet in the air. Woohoo! So, sometimes we were like competing with the paint for attention.
Right.
But, that was the name of the game. That's the kind of show it was.
And what I find interesting is when you look back at 96, so you went on right after Center Grove and you both did New Air Dance. It was the same music.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So all the people who had to sit through Hope this year, you had 2 guards going back to back. The top 2 Scholastic World guards did the exact same piece of music.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, that was, well, they actually used the whole piece.
Right.
Ours was cut. And I'm like, why couldn't we use this cool part where they did the little hip hop dance breakdown?
Yeah,
That
with
was
the chant, with
cool.
the chanting. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I again never got to see the show live because of what our performing times, but when I saw the video, like this is really cool. And I'm standing in my living room trying to learn it. Like, oh, I love this dance. This is really fun. And I remember, I think it was the Chicago regional, maybe, where they performed right before we did, and we're hearing our music and we're standing in the hallway, and it just kind of got us like hyped up, like, okay, interesting, intense rivalry, but I loved their show. I'm not gonna lie, I loved their show. I thought the colors, the use of their flags, the in and out of the panels.
Yeah.
So yeah, the using the same music was it motivated us, tried, got us to be better. They were incredible that season, and that having them as such a intense rival just pushed us to be better. And kudos to them. Honestly, I will give all my shout outs to Center Grove because they have a really strong program. So I love watching their
And
shows.
those girls were second so many years over and over. And then you all left, and then James Logan swooped
Right?
in and said, "Nope, now it's our
No,
turn. Sorry, Center
I
Grove,
know.
stay in second."
Poor girls. Those poor girls. I feel
Ah,
bad. But they were all so good, and I just want them to know like they were all so good, and I know how hard they worked, and they deserve all the accolades and kudos for all their hard work
absolutely,
and the great shows that they put out.
absolutely. When the staff came out and said, "Here's what we're doing with the paint show," what was the reaction like? Did you know that it was going to be as intense as it ended up being?
No, I mean, we were just kind of like, okay, Jackson who? Jackson
Right?
what?
On a 14-year-old.
Yeah, I've never heard of this guy before. What are you talking about? So I didn't really know what the plan was in the beginning. We were just told we're gonna use paint. Here's a turkey baster. Try to squirt it, and here's a ketchup bottle. See if you can squirt it and get it all over. And over the course of the season, we were more introduced to who Jackson Pollock was. We watched a documentary, what he did and how he painted and how his process was. We were shown pictures of his paintings, and then we actually went to New York City and we got to see some of his paintings in one of the museums there. Had like fork stuck in it and all these random objects. It was really cool. I think we have a group picture somewhere of us standing with one of the Jackson Pollock paintings. But yeah, the show grew throughout the season and it changed as we got the judges' feedback and they just kept wanting more and more. So I would love to hear some judges' speak from back then.
Yeah, I would. I mean, any of those shows, like give me Center Grove, give me you all, give me James
Mhm.
Logan. I would love to hear these old tapes.
Well, it's funny because Paul Lampkin, he judged us as a judge, and then when I became an instructor, he judged the groups that I was teaching. So it was just this cool little moment. He goes, "Wait, I remember you." I said, "Yeah, I know." I remember Vinny would play some tapes for us every now and then. So I'm
Hmm.
like, I remember hearing your name on tapes and your name mentioned at practices a lot. Paul Lampkin wanted us to do. Paul Lampkin suggested we do. I love that guy. He's a good judge. He's a good man.
You mentioned going to the Chicago Regional. Did you all travel for a lot of your shows? Like you like purposely went far away?
Yeah. We went to Montreal. We went to Philly. We went to Chicago, Boston. Those were like the big ones. And then in 1998, we went to California. We went to the wherever Fantasia is, Rivers.
Riverside.
Yes,
Yeah.
we went to that regional. But yeah, we really traveled a lot. And obviously in 97 drove to Phoenix from New York. So drove across the
Oof.
country with 30 of us on a bus. That was,
You drove.
oh, we drove. Yeah, we had to drive everywhere. We drove everywhere except for California. But yeah, we
Wow.
we had to take a week out of school and drove to Phoenix and drove back home after. It was wild.
After you got booed at retreat, that'd be a fun ride home. Oof.
And yeah,
Any other fun or crazy stories you want to share about your time at BK?
I feel like my whole 4 years there were fun. And we definitely had some crazy times. I met my best friend, Caitlin. We're still best friends to this day. And that's kind of like a special memory of the relationships and friendships that we created there are lifelong. A lot of us still are friends on Facebook and get together a couple times. We got to do so many amazing things that most high schoolers don't get the chance to ever do. So my daughter always tells me that she's jealous of my teenage years and the things I got to do. Yeah, I know, honey. Your life is so boring. But like the craziest memory story is for me, the our bus driver miscalculated the height of our bus
Oh no.
in Boston. So it was the middle of rush hour traffic and our bus got stuck under a bridge.
Oh no.
And we're all just sitting there, but he swore he could make the height clearance, but he was mistaken. So Vinny had to get off the bus and try to direct Boston traffic, and they were not too pleased with that. I think, if I remember correctly, there might have been some things thrown at him while he was trying to direct traffic so we could kind of reverse out of there and get our bus unstuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boston's not known as being the friendliest city.
No, and especially with a giant bluebird bus stuck under the bridge.
Yeah.
And that year we also were trying to make a turn. We were in Dayton and we were trying to make a turn and he cut it too close or there was a car and we ended up hitting the car.
Whoops.
Oops.
Whoops.
We're all like looking out the windows, around the windows of the bus looking, going, we're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit that car. They better back up. We're gonna hit that car and crunch. Like that was we had some bus adventures. It was crazy.
Oh wow. This
Yeah.
is so cool. I've been so excited when we said we're gonna do this recording. I'm like, I want to hear all about this just because such a storied program that just kind of disappeared and it's just done these wild shows. And it's like I know that you all are still out there, like the people that marched it. And so it's
Mhm. Well, a
was
lot of us are, moms now
yeah.
and have established careers. My friend Maria, she's a renowned chef in Philadelphia. She's the one who with the cowboy boot. So a lot of us have really just gone on. Some of us are teachers, and we've just gone on to do normal, everyday things. But this show is a part of all of our history, and you see clips of it, and you're like, oh, that was me.
Do you show it to your current student? Like, it's me. Like every year, like a viewing party. We're gonna watch me.
Like any kid, like color guard kids I taught.
Yeah.
I
Do you still teach
did.
down in South Carolina? Color Garden?
I taught 1 year of marching band. They didn't really know what Winter Guard was, so I didn't really show it to them.
Mm.
But we did watch a lot of stuff with the guards I taught in New York. When I went back, when I was with Eastridge and in Gates Chile, we'd watch all the old guard videos on the bus, on trips and things like that. But yeah, I don't currently teach right now. It's just don't have the time. I would love to. There's a lot of really good programs down here that have really good groups for both winter and summer. I'd love to try. As my kids are getting older, they're getting more involved in activities. So, my daughter plays volleyball, my son plays football. So I'm kind of on mom
Yep.
duty. So I'd
I get
like
it.
to, but maybe one day. But
Just
I
go and
mean, I
teach him the Bishop Kearney head bob. Like this is how you're gonna catch. Boom.
just do it. Well, my daughter wants. I have a flag in the garage, and she is like, "Mom, teach me." And she goes out in the yard and she tries to do like I know people call it a J toss. Oh, I call it a money toss.
Yeah.
Just and she's like, "Is this good? Is this good?" And I'm going, "Release point needs to be a little higher. Gotta get that rotation." And she's going, "I don't know what you're saying."
You need to
But I'm like,
crank the wrist, pull down with your left hand, lift higher, breathe. Like, huh?
use your thumb and pull and lift up. And then she'll like go, "Meh," and it'll spin right in front of her face. And she goes, "Was that it?" Perfect.
Great,
Perfect.
great job, sweetie. You're doing wonderful.
You're doing amazing, sweetie.
Well, I thank you so much for being here. I am going to ask you my final question that I've been asking everybody because the new WGI season has not started. So, do you keep up with WGI?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
So, what was your favorite 2025 show?
The Woodlands. I loved that show. The stuff that they were doing with those benches and those tricks that they did, I was blown away. And I love the soundtrack. That
Yeah.
was just some of the coolest music. And I'd been kind of watching them progressed over the last couple of years, and to see them come up and win, I was really excited for them. So that was my top show, but I'm definitely a huge AMP girly. One of the kids that I taught in Gates Chi marches AMP, so that's kind of like a little moment of pride for me. She was just a little thing when I taught her, and now she's in one of the best guards in the country. So I love that. Love seeing that. Hey, Rachel, good job, girl.
Hey, Rachel.
And then I'm always, and this is going more than what you asked me, but
No, go ahead.
I'm always rooting for my friends from Gates Chi. So I love seeing what they put out every year, and a lot of the staff that I worked with still is staff there. So I just love cheering for them, and I'm really proud to see what they put on the floor and how their program is growing and just getting stronger every year. It's really good to see that.
They were so much fun last year, the
That was
typewriter show.
really the cutest typewriter show, and they just perform with so much joy. There's always so much joy that they bring. Mike Heaney is an amazing director, and he brings that out of them. He's just great at what he does, and the whole staff honestly is great at what they do. They just really love the art of color guard, and they pour that into their students, and you can see it come out on the floor. So I just love watching them.
What is it with upstate New York and color guard being so successful? You have Bishop Kearney, Shenendehowa, Gage Chi, you had Patriots, and
A lot of the schools just have really good programs, and almost every school had a group. And I'm glad the Brigadiers are coming back. They were inactive for a little while, and they're coming back out this year. So I'm really excited as an alum to see what they put out. Shenendehowa is fantastic. I loved their 911 operator show, but my favorite show of theirs was the Bats. I think they won that year. I want to
yes,
say was that 2016? Yes, that
16,
was the
because 15 was Hitchcock, right?
I think so. And then
That's
they
my
did
favorite is Hitchcock. That
that
bird's
is
flag feature is amazing.
it's so good. But the bats flag feature, when they're moving around the floor like a flock of bats,
Hmm.
oh, that was amazing. I was pregnant with my son that year, and I'm sitting in the stands, and I was really close to his due date, and I like lumber out of my seat to give them a standing ovation. I love that show, and they wheeled them out in their bat cave, and I'm going, where's the girls?
Oh, they
And
were already
then
in there. Like when they set up, they were already in there.
the girls were in there, and then they hung down from their knees upside down like bats. Like that show is so creative. That's
I didn't
and
realize they were already in there because I've just seen the videos where they start there. So I just assumed they set up and then climbed in.
I
Wow.
didn't see them climb in. I because they pushed them out unless they were like hiding behind it. Because
Hmm.
I didn't see them walk out and go, where's the guard? And then boom, they came down hanging upside down. That was I love that show. Shen is such a cool program. I
Yeah.
went to a clinic as so they did a judge's clinic, and I went and got to listen to their directors and how they do their design process and their training program. They are so inspirational. Like they know what they're doing. They have got the formula down. They know exactly what they're doing, and it shows. Like their kids are so strong.
Yeah. And the longevity in that program is insane.
Hmm.
And I'd
And I don't
love
know
that
where.
every year you don't know what they're going to pull out something off the wall. And it's just like,
Yep.
what are they going to come out with? Shenandoah is one of the ones I always look forward to. Like, what are they doing this
Hmm.
year? Especially when they
Yeah,
did the bats, they did Hitchcock, and then they did the frogs.
that was really cool. And the one year they were skydivers.
I
They
didn't
were
see that one, but I've heard people talk about it. Yeah, there was a
yeah,
skydiving show.
they had little carts with wheels on them, and they would like get on their bellies and roll kind of like they were coming down from the sky. Like it's the creativity just knows no bounds there. I would love to have one fraction of that creativity.
Right?
'Cause, my shows, I'm like, okay, look at this is what we're gonna do. I'm
It's a
not
love
there
story. We're gonna spin a heart flag, right? I'm different, right?
for my my shows were like my one favorite show that I did a League of Their Own with Gates Chi, and it was their JV guard, and that was probably my favorite show that we did. We had so much fun that year. They were the Rochester Peaches,
Okay.
and we were spinning baseball bats, and I made a baseball diamond on the floor with packing tape because my budget was limited. So I did that, and I hand painted all the flags, white flags with red baseball laces. I
Oh,
hand painted
cute.
all of those. It was the most fun show. I love that show. That was probably my most creative one that I've done. I love that show. I was
We
like
love it.
holding on to that idea for the right group. I'm like, okay, now's the time. We got this. This is the year.
I love that. I love that. Well, I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
And
for having me.
I'll be putting lots of clips of this on here. I'm going to try to find the Sybil one, and the obviously the one of you running around the ladder in the paint show, because I know that shot. So I'm like, I'll find you, and I'll be like, here she is, the diva herself. And I thank you so much, and this was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I had an awesome time. It was really nice to talk color guard.
Yes.
I'll come back if you want me to. I'll talk color guard for the 2026 season.
There we go. And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I was really excited when this idea came to me, and I already have another one lined up for one of my next releases. I am also planning on doing a BOA Grand Nationals recap with our dear friend Will, so keep an eye out for that one as well, because Homeboy loves him some marching band. If you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast wherever you listen. If you have any ideas for shows you'd like to see on the podcast, please feel free to message me on Instagram or shoot me an email at flagsinagym@gmail.com. I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and until next time, stay safe, stay fabulous, and remember, at the end of the day, it's just flags in a gym.